Joining us now to continue with the conversation on Tinubu's victory is Arise News political editor Sumna Sambo. Sumna Sambo, good to have you on the show. Nigeria Decides 2023. Well, Sumna, you were on the ground at the National Coalition Center from the beginning of the process till the end, till the moment when one man was asking for food, and the chairman said he should be given dinner. Till the moment when Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu of the All Progressives Congress was declared president-elect by the Chief Returning Officer, Professor Mahmood Yakubu. Could you take us through the main highlights of the coalition and the eventual declaration, the mood, and what you observed?
All right, thank you so much, Dr. Abati, and then, of course, our colleagues there. Actually, the coalition began right on Sunday when when the National Coalition Center was opened, and of course, results started trickling in, and we had all the agents of the 18 political parties in attendance, and it was an atmosphere of camaraderie. I mean, until it got to Monday when the drama started with the party agents of the People's Democratic Party and the Labour Party actually getting worried about some of the results that were yet to be uploaded on the INEC public portal for the review of election results. That's the IREV as it's called. And of course, that led to the party agent of the People's Democratic Party, Senator Dino Melaye, standing up to actually challenge the process after he said he had been assured as at Sunday that the results will be uploaded after what was deemed to have been a technical glitch by INEC officials on Saturday. I mean, Arise News was actually worried as of Saturday when we didn't see some of these results being uploaded, and we reached out to INEC officials to raise our concerns. Having been in charge of the newsroom myself, when I didn't see some of those results being uploaded as at 7 p.m. on Saturday, I got worried and I had to ask some of my correspondents who actually cover the electoral body to find out from the electoral officials what was going on. And when they did, they said that they were experiencing some challenges and the results will soon be uploaded. So I said that we should try to get a senior official to speak with us and hopefully before the close of that Saturday. But eventually I had to reach out to some of the senior officials myself to find out what exactly was the problem, because what we were told by the electoral body as Nigerians is that once the elections were over at various polling units, the polling officials at the polling units were meant to have actually captured the results using the same beavers after it had been accredited, after it had been used for accreditation. The same beavers machine is supposed to be used to capture the result and then upload it. And they actually told us that they were actually being asked by political parties and other journalists too, so that we should await a preliminary statement on what was going on, because they were trying to find out what exactly the issue was. And of course, on Sunday, they did come out with a preliminary statement saying that they were having some issues. And of course, the results started trickling in from Sunday morning. But as at Monday, when the PDP and, of course, later on Labour Party officials raised that issue at the National Coalition Center, I mean, some of us too, as journalists, were worried that the results had not been fully uploaded more than, 24 hours after the election. And so that was the background to some of the intrigues and intricacies that we witnessed at the National Coalition Center, which eventually led to a walkout being staged by the PDP and the LP. And of course, it culminated to the press conferences and all of that we saw on Tuesday. So generally, that actually poisoned the atmosphere of the National Coalition Center. And like I started, with the issues of camaraderie, a lot of people became apprehensive, but, after the walkout by the PDP and Labour Party, some other political parties, which we had thought were part of the walkout, came back that same Monday, and they said no. They reassured the INEC chairman that they were still part of the process, and those are parties like SDP, Action Alliance, ADC, and all of that, saying that they were still part of the process and that they were passing a vote of confidence on the INEC national chairman. Now, the PDP and then the LP later asked the INEC national chairman to step aside because they no longer enjoyed confidence in him. But of course, INEC national chairman, through his spokesperson, Rotimi Oyekanmi, issued a statement saying that he wasn't going to step aside as the INEC national chairman and then, of course, the presiding officer for the presidential elections. So that's how it was way up until yesterday when eventually we saw some of the last results coming in from the states. And of course, a declaration was made early Wednesday, that was just a few hours ago, and Bola Ahmed Tinubu of the All Progressives Congress was declared president-elect alongside Kashim Shettima as vice president-elect by Professor Mahmoud Yakubu.
Well, thank you so much for that detailed summary of your experience at the National Coalition Center. But one of the things that also happened was an interesting aspect of the proceedings was what happened with the returning officer from Rivers State, who midway into announcing results from the wards in Rivers State had to stop due to threats to life. So it brings up the issue around security and these areas that marred this election. What was the I don't know if you had the opportunity to speak to the returning officer to investigate that, or perhaps if there were similar incidents recorded by other returning officers who said they had to make some of those results under duress. What was your observation?
All right. So there was no specific issue of any duress being mentioned by any of the state coalition officers for the presidential election at the National Coalition Center. But we had heard, and then of course, for those of us who may have viewed some of the live visuals, live streaming of what was going on at the state coalition centers, that of the Rivers State, yes, had issues. But at the National Coalition Center, we didn't see any or hear directly that these officers complained that they were under duress. What we actually heard was whenever any of the state coalition officer for the presidential election, they are called SCOP by INEC, which is an acronym for them. We often heard the INEC national chairman asking them after their presentation, was there any issues of cancellation of ballots? Was there any issue of violence? And then, of course, if there was any issue of violence or accreditation, what steps were taken? And so each of the scope officials will then go ahead to say, yes, there was violence or there was no violence, these polling units were cancelled or these polling units were not cancelled. And then the INEC national chairman will then ask, if there was violence in this particular polling unit and this polling unit was cancelled, how many voters got registered there? How many collected their PVCs? And what's the margin compared to other areas that have been declared? And then they will go ahead and state it. And then, of course, everybody will hear. And then some of the issues that were raised, actually, the INEC national chairman had promised that he was going to speak about these issues raised by some of the party agents, including that of the Labour Party and the PDP at the end of the entire collation. And so it was surprising, actually, that the INEC national chairman just went ahead and made the declaration, which is within his powers as the chief electoral officer of the Federation and then the returning officer of the presidential election, without addressing some of the things that he had said he was going to do when the entire collation is over. Because if you look at the Electoral Act, there's that provision for the INEC national chairman to review any of the results presented to him, but only after all the entire results would have come in. Because don't forget, by our laws, the presidential election is deemed as one constituency election. That's Nigeria as a whole. Just like you have a different senatorial district being one, and then, of course, House of Representative district being one. So in the presidential election, the entire country is deemed as one constituency. So it is when the entire results have come in, then complaints are received, then the INEC Chairman, as the Chief Electoral Officer, is supposed to take a look at all of these complaints and then address them. But yesterday, when eventually the INEC National Chairman did the final declaration of results, he just stood up and shut the collation center. So there was no room for him to address that. My guess is that maybe he's asking the political parties to head to the courts.
All right, Sumner, two things. Number one, before INEC released that statement that there was a technical glitch, there was an interview that was done live on another channel where Festus Okoye was said to have allegedly now said that nobody promised the transmission of presidential election results, or an INEC official was that nobody promised the transmission of presidential election results to the IRF. Because that's a point being made now. Secondly, they came and released a statement afterwards, a press statement saying there was a technical glitch. Since the release of the press statement, has INEC even released a counter press statement saying they have solved or dealt with the technical glitch? Briefly, Sumner.
Well, we haven't seen any other statement, Rufai, from INEC saying that they had resolved the technical glitch. But what we could actually see is an improvement in the number of results being uploaded. If you check the website right now, the portal, you will see that there's a tremendous amount of results that have been uploaded. As at the last time I checked last night, it was about 141,000 or so. So now we have about 176,000 polling units across the Federation. And so by this morning, of course, the upload would have continued. Now, back to the issue you have raised as to INEC not promising anyone. That has been very, very controversial. During the making of the electoral law, I was always present at the National Assembly then to follow up on this issue, having covered the Parliament myself for several years. Now, there was that contentious part. Is it a transmission of election result or transfer of election result? And then, don't forget, there was that controversy last year as to whether we are doing electronic transmission of election result or is simply snapping the manual process and uploading it. So these are two difficult things that even yesterday at the Senate chamber, a lot of lawmakers, the same people who crafted these laws, engage each other on what exactly they meant when they were crafting that legislation. So here is what some of them are actually saying. And of course, these are senators from the Governing All Progressives Congress, that what their intention was actually to the transfer of results and not necessarily the electronic transmission of election results. So that is, the BVAS is supposed to be used for accreditation. Once you are using it for accreditation, then the next process is for you to use it to to take a picture of the manual election result and then uploading it. Now, some of the senators were saying that the upload may be immediate or it may be deferred later. But from the understanding that the National Assembly and the electoral body, INEC itself, had made Nigerians to believe, they had told Nigerians that the process was going to be swift. Immediately the election results are done with at the polling unit, even the INEC guidelines states that the electoral officer, the polling unit official should take a snapshot of it and upload it into the IRF result portal. But we are hearing that it's a transfer and not an electronic transmission of the election results.
Okay, everything is already in the election guidelines. Thank you so much, Shamna.